Welcome to the John Freakin' Muir Pod. Lace up those boots and sling on the pack for a romp through trails, short and long. With your host and Renaissance man, Doc. It's time to embrace the suck.
Welcome back to another week on the trail. I'm Doc, and this is the John Freakin' Muir Pod. Let's start off with a reminder. If you are enjoying the podcast, take just a minute, help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're not enjoying the pod, well, just go ahead and keep that to yourself. All right, let's get to this week's content. This week's guest is an experienced hiker in the Sierras who has also logged some time in Utah. Welcome to the pod, Jose Zambrano.
Hey, thanks, Doc. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And all your travels on the trail, have you picked up a trail name?
Yes. I don't really use it a lot, but when I run into a JMT or a PCT, that's when I use it. Not with day hikers or anything like that. You can kind of tell, but if it's a JMT or a PCT, I definitely exchange that.
Okay. Not at work or with your family?
It's kind of weird, but that name kind of derives from my nickname. So As you know, my name's Jose, but a lot of guys with the name Jose will use a surname Pepe as their nickname. So it kind of derives from that.
Okay. Is that how it was given to you on the trail? Someone knew your name was Jose and just went with Pepe?
Well, I referenced myself as a friend of mine invited me to go up doing the Arrowhead Lake loop with his father, and his dad's pretty experienced backpacker. It was my first backpacking experience. But my friend told his father, this is Jose, but call him Pepe. He prefers Pepe because everybody's name's Jose. Uh-huh. So he's like, just call him Pepe. And then he gave me the trail name 2 days later near Glen Pass. He gave me the trail name of Pepe LePew because of not the best way, but first time kind of backpacking, but I wore cotton socks.
Oh,
soccer socks,
uh-huh.
Cotton soccer Adidas socks, and was not a great smell.
Okay.
So there came the name Pepe LePew.
Pepe LePew. Was it ever shortened to just LePew or Pew?
No, just Pepe LePew because it's my name, and also it kind of makes sense for why they gave it to me. So when I tell people, they're like, "Oh, that's your nickname," but then I tell them why it's LePew, and they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that would not work. Cotton in the outdoors is not a good thing."
Okay. Well, for the sake of the podcast, we go by trail names. I think I might just shorten it to Pepe, if that's okay.
Oh, that's fine. You can call me Pepe.
Okay.
Most people do, yeah.
All right. Very good. Hey, Pepe, have you listened to the podcast before?
Definitely. I've caught a couple of podcasts, interesting ones. Yeah.
This particular podcast, though, the John Freakin' Muir Pod.
Oh, yeah. I maybe caught like 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. I asked because we have a regular segment called the Pro Tip Insight of the Week, and that's a segment towards the end of the episode where I will turn to you and say, Pepe, what kind of wisdom or insight do you have for our listeners to make their next outdoor experience even better? So don't be surprised when we get there.
Awesome.
Okay. Hey, another feature we've been doing this season is the Must Bring Gear Review, sponsored by the ultralight backpacking gear company Outdoor Vitals. And here's how it works. If you were to let a stranger pack your bag with pretty much generic gear for a multi-day hike, what is the one specific piece of gear you would insist on being packed? And if you've got a particular brand for that specific piece of gear, even better. So, Pepe, what is your must-bring piece of gear?
I've listened to your podcast about 5 times, and I always hear people reference what they would bring. A lot of it's creature comfort things, but in my case, I probably do some survival things, especially because based off of what happened to me last time. But I probably look for a DCF backpack.
Okay, what kind of backpack?
Backpack that's DCF, so pretty much almost waterproof backpack.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, in my case, I have the Hyperlight Mountain Gear, the Wind Rider.
Mm-hmm.
So that one is in the storm I was caught in. Everything was pretty much dry inside. Didn't have to really worry about. Yeah, I didn't really have to. A buddy of mine had a different backpack, and he had a different outcome with his gear getting wet, and my stuff, my gear stayed pretty tight. Yeah, and I was, when I purchased the item, they try to sell you. It's kind of, you think it's a gimmicky or not, and you're paying a high dollar value for a lightweight, no frame backpack. It just has aluminum stays in it, but there's no aluminum frame in there at all. It's lightweight. It doesn't even weigh. I think it weighs 2 pounds in a 55-liter backpack, but it kept everything dry and saved my butt out there.
Very good. Now I know that some folks will have covers for their rain covers for their backpacks, or they'll include a like a hefty trash bag where they'll pack all of their stuff into a hefty trash bag and then put that inside the backpack as kind of a insulation against the rain. But with this particular style of backpack you're talking about, you don't have to worry about that.
Not really. There are some areas I know where they're not. They say they're seam sealed, but it's more on the shoulder straps. But I did notice a little bit of condensation there. Mm-hmm. But this is like almost an hour of downpour and hail, and nothing was really wet. But also in my gear, I packed. It's pretty much Dyneema. I also pack with these Dyneema cubes, stuff sacks, mm-hmm. lightweight, but they're also pretty much waterproof. So I have everything in those pods as well.
Right. Very good. Now, what is your base weight on your trips in the Sierras?
This last one that I did before water, but I did carry a bear canister before water and food and no bear canister. I was in the 12.5.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. Very good. And then it's probably another 12, 15 pounds when you load up the food and the water.
Yeah, 5 days of food, and then water. I knew this last trip I did. I knew it was early July. Late July. So there was some water, so I wasn't too worried about water carries. So mm-hmm. I probably just did the most 2 liters at a time on water, mm-hmm. drinking one and having one in a bottle.
Right. Now you said late July. Was it late July or was it late June?
Oh, yeah, late June, yes.
Late
June. I went in on the 27th and came out on the 2nd.
Yeah, because if it was late July, I was going to ask if we crossed paths because I was out there in late July.
It was, yeah. So it was late June. Yeah, 27th. Went in on 27th, came out the 2nd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. And what other kinds of gear do you have in your kit? Are you a tent guy, tarp guy, cowboy camp? What's your sleep system?
I did bring a TVAC to try to cowboy camp, but that wasn't working on the 5 days we were out there. It was every day after 2:00, it rained. Oh. So, and thundered and mm-hmm. a little bit of hail. You would hope that you could get that second wind and let it go by, but that never happened. Usually it does in the Sierras, 2-3 hours, maybe it'll go by, but 6:00, it was still coming down. And so that wasn't working. So the cowboy camping didn't work, but I did take a TVAC, ground sheet. But I am a tent guy. I do have a lightweight tent, 2-pound tent, a big Agnes, Fly Creek Platinum. Mm-hmm. Nice. Great tent. So it's got a rain fly, all that. And I'm a tall guy, so it fit perfect for me. I do need the 2-man tent, and lengthwise it was great. Headroom, sitting up, if you're over 6'4", I wouldn't recommend it, but mm-hmm. Lengthwise is great. But I didn't intend on spending a lot of time in my tent, but unfortunately I did.
That's the way it works out sometimes, right?
Yeah, you don't intend to stay in there, but these 4 or 5 days were a little brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about you do tarp, sleeping bag?
No, I do.
I'm sorry, not tarp. I'm sorry, quilt or sleeping bag. Sorry.
Quilt, yeah, my quilt is a great little quilt. It worked for me. 20-degree quilt. Was it? I'm trying to remember the name of. Oh my god, I forget the name of it. But it's a 20-degree quilt, but it mm-hmm. worked great. It's got a little damp at times, condensation, but it has got that DWR coating on there, so mm-hmm. nothing really penetrated it. So it was it held up really well. Yeah.
Okay. And with your sleeping pad, is it a foam pad or a blow up?
I took half of a foam pad for emergency situations. In case, it's always a backup. Sometimes I'll cover my shoulders all the way down to my torso, just in case the blow up doesn't work. But I did take a lightweight air mattress. Yes. Okay.
Hey, I like that idea of taking a half of a foam pad as a backup emergency. In case you spring a hole in that blow up pad. At least you've got something to lay down on your shoulder, the top half of your body, anyway.
Yeah, your legs, you can elevate them on something. But mm-hmm. yeah, it served many dual purposes. Sitting pad, just for rest. I put it outside my tent so I can just like kneel out there and like pack my stuff together. And so it's and also I use it as a windshield as well. When we're getting hit in that storm, my tent was a little off center, so the wind is just shooting up. So I put it on the outside of my tent, flat like a wall. So it worked perfect. Kept the elements out as well. So that thing served a great purpose. Yeah.
That's great. When I was on Mineral King Loop earlier this summer with Bindi and Yahtzee, I was giving Yahtzee a tough time. I was calling him bougie because he had this special, sitting pad, and the half foam pad. I mean, that would be a great use for that as well. Just when you're taking a break and there's nothing but hard rocks around. I mean, break that thing out and have a little bit of comfort. And
there's really no doesn't weigh anything, So it was half the foam pad. And like I said, I was comfortable. So if my pad deflated, I was comfortable with okay, I'm okay with having half my body on there, and I'll be fine as long as your torso and shoulders are off the ground. You're fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, let's back up a little bit before we get too far down the trail. Let's talk about how you got involved in the outdoor adventure experience. Let's talk about where you grew up, and if outdoor adventure was part of your family life growing up, and when you first heard about backpacking.
I grew up in the Central Valley of California, Fresno County area, a little town butted up against the foothills. Pretty much as crow flies would be Kings Canyon National Park. Highway 180 would be maybe about 3 miles from the farm I grew up on.
What's the name of the town?
Reedley, California.
Okay.
Reedley. So that's about 25 miles southeast of Fresno. But going up like pretty much going up highway leads you highway 180 going that's the entrance to Kings Canyon National Park.
And what is the elevation of the town, do you know?
Oh, it's not high at all. We're just butted up against the foothills, so It's like we're not even on a foothill. We're probably maybe a couple hundred feet, that's it.
Okay, so it's not too high up then. Okay, got it.
No, yeah, but I grew up on a stone fruit farm, so just growing up working outside my whole life with my dad and my siblings and my sisters. So just growing up on that farm, so we're always outside. So we catch some great sunsets, sunrises in the Sierras. You'd see them all the time, but you kind of took them for granted because our life at the time was just work, but you're outside in the elements, that everybody's in if they were backpacking, just not at the elevation.
And where were you in the birth order?
I was number 3 out of 6.
Okay, 3 out of 6. Wow.
Yeah, 3 out of 6. Yeah.
You had to be quick at that dinner table.
I had to be quick. Definitely be quick. And I was the first boy, 4 girls and 2 boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have any of your siblings picked up the backpacking bug as well?
Not backpacking, but day hiking. I have a sister. She lives in Montana, and she's really into the hiking out there. I might have mentioned to you earlier. I did do a little hiking out there in Montana, and ran into some surprises, which actually influenced what I do now. So it's pretty interesting. But she's a day hiker. She's not really into backpacking, but she goes to Glacier. She goes to Yellowstone. She's near the Missoula area, so she's you got the Bitterroot Range just south of there, Missoula, Montana. So she's in the middle of everything there.
Man, it is nice to have a family member in Montana. I mean, talk about beautiful country out there.
Yeah, I got 2 sisters out there. Yeah.
Nice. And before we talk about your experiences out in Montana, what do you do to pay the bills these days?
I work for Costco.
Okay.
Yeah, I work for Costco. So I've been there. This is my 21st. Yeah, I'm going to my 21st year there at Costco now.
Okay. Now I know that occasionally they'll have deals on dehydrated meals. They have like 10 packs of meals. Do you ever take advantage of those as an employee discount?
Yeah, there's no employee discount, but I'm not big on dehydrated meals. I've given them all a try. There are some that I've heard that are really, really good. I've tried them, and I might start trying to get into them, but they don't sit well with me. Yeah. So like I've gone out there with them before. But yeah, this doesn't feel good out there. And I don't have a picky, I can eat anything, but, so I make it easy.
All right. Now you've intrigued me because I need to know what you eat on the trail. What is your food plan out in the Sierras?
So food plan, what I did this last time was, of course, the bars like everybody else. Protein shake in the morning. The breakfast blend one. in the morning. We just add water. That got me going in the morning. Electrolytes. Make sure I had a candy bar in the morning. As you know, calories are important. And this is the first time I tried these, but I did do the Spam packets, and I did do the salmon packets as well. And I put those in a burrito form. Take some flour tortillas with me. Put in some Frito chips in there, and you could add peanut butter because I did take some peanut butter, and then just make like a burrito out of them out there. And that was my lunch.
Okay. How about dinner?
Dinner was pretty easy. I take mashed potatoes. I did the ramen bombs. That's pretty easy because you can't go wrong with the flavor there, and they fill you up. Even if even if you're still hungry, you're not going to feel it because those fill you up. But I just made sure I definitely need to get more bars with me because that's what I think I was lacking more of. It was just to get me over passes and the bonking issues that people feel when they're out there. And yeah.
Right. And for our listeners out there who may not be familiar with ramen bombs, that is ramen combined with mashed potatoes, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty dense, thick stuff. Gonna stick
It's
to your
dense.
ribs.
It'll fill you up and it'll put you to sleep if you're tired. And nothing like your former guest, Billy Yang's stuff. Like he had some really good he had some good ideas I might have to start incorporating. Yeah.
Yeah, well, his was just the flavor packets, right? He's bringing these different sriracha and different sauce packets. That was adding them the food reviews out there on the trail. That's why he's named Bourdain. His trail name was Bourdain. Yeah. So
I need to start bringing those.
And then you had protein for lunch with the salmon and the Spam.
Yeah, so no big bars. I did do I did have cinnamon rolls if I was feeling it in the morning. Just like those Hostess cinnamon rolls would be good for the morning, get you going too. But I would you get a little bit more vitamins out of the breakfast blend shake. So I was going for that, trying to feel a little good about it. And but those seemed to work for me. They were good in my stomach. So I had a lot of leftover cinnamon rolls. I had like 3 leftover cinnamon rolls. I think only ate 1.
Oh man, that would never happen with me. The cinnamon rolls would be the first to go.
Yeah. I did try something for the first time, which was those protein cookies that have no egg in them. I forgot what brand they were, but yeah, those didn't work out either. I think I might have ate half of one, and I brought 6, and I did not eat them at all. Yeah, so wasted food. But that's what's important too. Maybe that's an important tip as well, is kind of play with your palate a little bit before you go out there.
Yeah, the bars will, I'll force down a bar in the morning if I have to, but not a big bar fan. My jaw just gets tired, and I'm not excited about eating them. And it seems like a chore more than in a moment to enjoy. So I like the idea about the ramen bombs and the protein packets. The
protein packet's easy, super easy.
Yeah, and the shakes, the breakfast shake. I tried a couple of those in Mineral King, and the first one was good, and then the second one I was like, I don't know, I get tired of stuff right off the bat pretty quick, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, those were incorporated cinnamon roll for the next day, and then switch it off. Nice.
Change it up. All right, let's hear about what happened in Montana that caused you to change the way you do things out there.
I wouldn't say it changed I think it just influenced me a little bit more. Okay. There was this lake that my brother-in-law, his brother Jimmy took me out to. I think it was called Storm Lake in the Bitterroot Range in Montana. Real popular. It's mostly known for Lewis and Clark expedition went through there. So that's what it's famous for. But it's the Bitterroot Range, beautiful area. I think the elevation there at the start of the trailhead was about maybe close to 8,500 feet. Start going up, but it's my first time doing a day hike. A very steep day hike in bear country, and not bear country like in the Sierras, where I'm a big guy, so I'm not really afraid of bears here. Maybe a mountain lion, but not bears. But over there, it's different. It's a different type of bear, and it's a big bear. And I was a little petrified hiking out there. We didn't have bear spray, which was another thing that concerned me.
And are we talking grizzlies?
Yeah, we're talking grizzlies.
Grizzlies, those are the big boys. Okay.
Yeah, so grizzlies and moose, big elk. So there's a lot of wildlife out there. But as we ran into other people hiking out there, I felt a little more comfortable because it seemed like everybody out there had had a pretty big pistol. So I was like, well, I'm gonna stay close to these people.
Now, Pepe, you don't have to be faster than the bear. You just need to be faster than the person you're hiking with.
Oh, and that's what I did tell my friend Jimmy. I told him that. I said, hey, man, it may not work out too good for you. I might beat you down this hill.
Yeah, you sweep the leg, and then you run. That's right.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
I think the pass that we were trying to get up to rose from the bottom of the lake, rose about maybe 2,500 feet. Really no switchbacks out there. That's what I found a little interesting. There's maybe 2 or 3 switchbacks, and then it was felt like it was like a straight shot up the pass. I think it's called Storm Lake Pass. But when I got up to there, I started seeing these backpackers, like big backpacks, just looking grizzly and disheveled. And I'm like, what are these guys about? These aren't your day hikers you see. And talking to one of them, like, where are you guys hiking in from? The guy's like, oh, I'm coming from Mexico. I'm like, you're coming from Mexico, Montana? What's going on? Oh, I'm on the CDT. So there, I guess that area there we're hiking is an area where a lot of them will come off the trail and go into, I think the town is called Anaconda. They do resupplies. So that's where I kind of like, oh, I'm gonna start looking into this. Like, well, this is interesting. And living here in the Sierra, by the Sierras, you would think I hear more about the PC. If you heard about John Muir all the time, but not really the John Muir Trail. So you'd hear about John Muir, but it took me till I got out to Montana to run into some CDT hikers to actually start wow, okay, what is this? What are they doing? What's it through hiking?
Now, Pepe, I love talking about these moments. I'm fascinated by this. When somebody learns that there is a trail that you can walk on continuously from Mexico to Canada, whether it be the PCT or the CDT. And I love to hear what goes through your mind when you realize that this is actually a thing. So when you talk to those guys and you heard they're coming from Mexico, do you remember what your thought process was there?
I was confused for a couple of days. I had to go home and I had to look this stuff up. It's like, what are these guys talking about? But I did believe them because they look pretty, like what hiker trash does.
Pretty rough around the edges, yeah.
They look rough and but happy. It's funny when you run into a thru hiker, as disheveled as they might look, and hiker trash, they're always smiling. They may look like they're, don't look like they're having a great time, but they are.
Yeah, that provides a little insight, right? Always have that smile.
That caught my attention. They were all pretty positive, happy to talk to you. But I think on the CDT there wasn't a lot of people at the time. This is 2000, God, maybe 2008.
Oh wow,
2009. Yeah. This happened.
I would guess that there weren't too many people on the CDT at that time.
No, now it's a little more, but yeah, at that time it's and there's different routes now they take. I think that's the old route they were taking, the old one, which now I think they have 3 different routes you can take through Wyoming and other areas you can come out. But that grabbed my attention. I started looking into it and learn about the PCT and the JMT more, and I was like, what? It's my backyard. It's like Trailhead's not even an hour and a half from my house. It's interesting.
And so what is the longest mileage hike that you've done thus far?
Probably in as a nonstop one continuous hike, probably 70 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any aspiration to do the full JMT in one fell swoop?
Oh, definitely. Next year I might just finish it all. I might just come in at Cottonwood and Cottonwood Lakes going northbound and just knock it out. But there's also buddies of mine that want to knock out the High Sierra Trail. Mm-hmm. So I'm maybe thinking being smart and knock out the High Sierra Trail. And when I start at Cottonwood Lakes, not have to do Mount Whitney, right?
That's right. Yeah. You could say that you put feet on every inch.
I've connected footpath, right?
That's right. That's right. So High Sierra Trail, a little bit shorter, about a third of the length of the John Muir Trail, but it does finish on top of Whitney.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so it's about 71 miles, I believe. And
72 if you go to Whitney Portal, all the way, it's like 72 miles, yeah.
Okay. And then John Muir Trail, of course, is 211 miles.
211 if it's from Whitney as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people, if you come from Cottonwood, I think you're adding 27 miles?
Maybe closer to 40 from what I've heard.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
All
right. And so you come back from Montana, you have this new notion in your mind, this concept of backpacking, doing multiple days out there, and what do you start planning? What is your first multi-day trip out there?
It all started with day hikes. So nothing like a backcountry hiking and camping, taking your gear out there. It was pretty much day hiking. Yosemite's not far from here. Kings Canyon, Sequoia's all close by. So it started with those just day hikes to maybe knock out 10, 12-mile days out and back. But my first backpacking, like where it came to getting gear and going out there, was the Arrowhead Lake sloop in 2012. Yeah. And that one I think is just over 40, like a hair over 40. I think it's a hair over 40. Yeah.
Yeah. And people, there are many people out there who will argue to their death that the Arrowhead Lake sloop is some of the most gorgeous country in the Sierras. Do you hold that opinion?
Definitely, because I did it in 2012, and I did it with two really experienced people, where I got my trail name as well. And there, I don't think there was many people on 2012 out that area. Now it's pretty full, but we ran into like 3 Boy Scout groups out there. That was, and maybe a couple of other hikers, backpackers, but it was a beautiful experience.
Okay. And any stories of adventure or misfortune out there in the Sierras?
On that trip, just gear. My backpack was from Costco. It was like some High Sierra 48-liter backpack. I think I took a couple of canned goods. My socks were cotton, as you know. Just gear. But you learn, and that's what it's for. And I like that. My buddy and his dad didn't really get on me too much, because they were happy I was out there. And I think that's what's important. It doesn't matter what you bring to maybe later on, but as long as you get out there and you're doing something in nature is a good. But yeah, my gear was all wrong, I think.
Yeah, and that's funny. I've heard from a number of people who have had some pretty poor experiences because of improper footwear or improper gear and just really struggling out there. Yet the power of being out in nature was enough to bring them back out and to tweak things and make some purchases and get the right type of gear. So even with a negative experience out there, there's something out there that still draws you in and makes you want to come back.
Yeah, I learned a lot, but every time I go out there, it seems like I learn something. Even from I look at people's gear, talking to them. Of course, YouTube videos help out as well. But yeah, I'm a little bit of a gearhead. So it took me about 3.5 years to get my gear where I have it now. Because I don't like to pay full price, so I kind of wait for those REI deals and the 20% discount and my dividends. So I make that work for me. But it took me what I have now, definitely about 3.5 years to get it all set up and be comfortable with it.
Okay. And have you found any other sites besides REI garage sales that offer, kind of discounted prices on gear? Any used gear sites or discounted gear sites?
I've gone on Gear Trade, not purchased anything there because I haven't found what I've wanted, but I've gone on there. There is, I forgot the name of that website, but it's a cottage company website where they have a bunch of cottage company gear guys that sell on there. I forgot the name of them, but that's what I go on to. But mostly REI, where I got my gear. But I definitely waited for the dividend and the 20% deals. There's where I've gone. But I've gone on other sites, but I haven't really purchased big items. My big 4, backpack, tent, sleeping bag, pad was all, I think, pretty much was on REI. I mean, like quilt, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And in that first trip out, the Arrowhead Lakes loop, what do you think your base weight was?
Of course, the great thing about being my first trip, I wasn't all into the details.
That's right.
So I didn't know how horrible it was going to be. I didn't know elevation gain. I didn't know elevation loss. I didn't know altitude sickness. I didn't know any of this. So I think that was a good thing. That felt more, because I think if I would have known these things or been expecting them, we got a 2,500 foot climb. That's going to be, just thinking about that, it's just going to demoralize you. So that's one great thing about doing those trips, is not knowing not filling your head, I guess. You don't want to fill your head with the details, because sometimes it's like it can be, you're just concentrating on that, not concentrating on what's around you, the trail, not enjoying it. You're just concentrated on numbers. And I did that to a certain extent on this trail. I did go with a buddy, which asked a lot of questions a lot. And I would just tell him we're almost there. I would just say I felt like Papa Smurf. We're almost there, because he wanted, hey, how much are we going to gain right now? I'm like, I don't care. I'm not going to tell you even if I knew. I'm not going to tell you, because I don't want to know the elevation gain anymore. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, that is a great question that I should probably include as a regular feature. Is it better to know or not to know? Yeah,
I heard, I'm familiar with the PCTer was, but I remember he got asked that question. I wish I remember his name, but he said that the best advice he gives people is don't overplan. Just do it. But just know where your exit points and where everything is, where you need to reach, but don't overdo it when it comes to the small things. Just go do it and resupply as you go. If you got to carry 5 days of food on the PCT, which a lot of them don't like to, they'll like to carry 2-3 days, if that, but carry your 5 days and not worry about having to mail stuff out, having to go to a post office, find, I got to get there before it closes. You don't have to worry about those things if you already got those things.
Yeah. In terms of, the longer the trail you do, the less you can plan, right? I mean, you can't plan every campsite on a 2,600 mile.
Oh yeah.
It's going to go out the window after day 2. You're going to say, okay, I've got to adjust my plan.
Oh yeah. Then weather and the Sierras, forget it.
That's right. Even with the JMT, I mean, we can plan, okay, we want to do, 15 miles and we want to camp here. And you could plan that for the next, for 8, 10, 12, 15 days. But even then, depending on what you run into, I mean, that can all change. And so you got to be flexible out there.
Definitely.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear about some more of his adventures in the Sierras and also see what kind of hikes he's done in Utah. So stay tuned for more with Pepe. We'll be right back. The John Freakin' Muir Pod is sponsored by Outdoor Vitals, the ultralight backpacking gear company whose mission is to improve the mental, physical, and emotional health of mankind by facilitating impactful outdoor experiences. Outdoor Vitals creates innovative technical products with confidence-inspiring education that empower outdoor ultralight adventurers. Their focus on performance enables you to live ultralight with gear you can actually be confident with. Whether you're looking for an ultralight sleep system, shelter, or pack, or if you're looking for top quality apparel for the trail, you can find it at Outdoor Vitals. Do yourself a favor. Live ultra light. And welcome back. Talking to Jose Pepe LePew Zambrano. And just heard a little bit about some of his experience out in the Sierras. And I know you had a trip earlier this summer, and we were just talking about the fact that it's difficult to make your plans too much in cement and trying to adhere to those because you got to adjust on the fly. And just from what you've teased earlier on in the episode, I have to imagine that you had to be flexible out there in your latest trip.
Oh, for sure. And I remember getting to Yosemite Valley to get my shuttle to Mammoth Lakes area, and just seeing the clouds in the area. And I just heard like, okay, it's kind of cloudy here in Yosemite Valley. I'm going to go to the Wilderness Ranger Center and go see what the weather's going to be like. And they asked me where my trailhead was. I let them know. And she gave me a funny look like, whoa, you're going to get some pretty crazy weather for the next 4 or 5 days out there where you're at, because you're at high elevation. So it was pretty much because I looked at the weather prior to going up there and I didn't see anything, but it's different when you're out there. And she was not lying. It was the mileage that we had forecasted for ourselves to do on a daily was not even 40 to 50%. So our mileage was down, and we felt great going in there, but everything was totally different. From day one, we predicted we'll knock out 10 miles. Then we got in 7. Next day, same thing, 7 miles. The weather just kept coming in every night.
So tell us about the weather. I mean, what was it like?
Day one was just coming in to camp the first day. Wasn't bad. The weather came in, light rain, I think our campsite was by Rosalie Lake was our first campsite coming out of Reds Meadow, passing through Reds Meadow. So made it there, but kind of early. Try to get down to maybe past Shadow Lake and keep going north, but the weather socked in and it kept us in our tents from like 2 in the afternoon all the way till, I think it led up till about 8. So we stuck in the tent for that long. It's not great. And then same thing with the next day. Next day we predicted, all right, let's get up a little earlier today. So we did get up around 4:30, got out of camp by a little bit after 5, which is pretty good. And I think we didn't make it past, just right before Thousand Island Lakes, you got sucked in again with another storm. Came in around the same time, 2 p.m., 1 p.m. And most people take little siestas around those times, as we did, and try to wait it out. It just kept coming.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a couple questions about that particular path. What'd you think of, leaving Reds, you're pretty much going straight uphill for quite a while.
Yeah. Until you get to Rosalie Lake.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then you kind of flatten out there and you start heading down to Shadow Lake. What'd you think?
It's a hard drop.
Well, yeah. I was going to say, what'd you think of that climb? And then what'd you think of the switchbacks down? Cause I remember that was just kind of torturous on the knees.
Yeah. People always comment about like, going up. I hate it. I'm like, I hate going down. I'm a big guy. So going down is rough on you. And like I tell people, it just works out different parts of your body than you do going up. Going up is, as you know, I think it's just Stairmaster, just cardio. But going down, you're working your core, quads, glutes, everything. You're working a lot of muscles.
Yeah. And when we're out on the trail, we talk about how we don't talk about this on the trail, but it's been said that there are, 127 different words for snow by the Inuit, the Native Alaskans, right? Because they're immersed in it and they've got all kinds of different terms for different types of snow. And so when we're out on the trail, we've developed like 9 different rankings for trail, and severe downhill is the worst. That is the worst. I'd rather be going. I think number 1 for me is a slight uphill, followed by flat, and then slight downhill, and then just kind of goes in different variations of that. But severe downhill is the worst for you.
Yeah, going even coming out of Reds, it is. I think you almost climb 20. I'm not sure if it's 26 or 2,800 feet coming out of Reds, just to that notch right above Rosalie. And I take that any day over that drop. And that drop, we finished it pretty much in 35, 40 minutes. But you gotta rest when you get down there.
Yeah. You take a pounding. What'd you think of Shadow Lake? I mean, that's a beautiful area there.
It was beautiful, but late that time that we went, mosquitoes were bad. So even we can't really enjoy too well. So just filtering water there at the bridge there, and going by Ediza, the cutoff there with Ediza Lake. But it's mosquitoes everywhere. But we're pretty prepared. But they were just bothersome.
Yeah, and going back to the question is it better to know or not to know? The first time we did that section of the trail, it seemed like there were 6, 7 false tops where I thought we were going to get to the pass to Garnet Lake, and I was just cursing under my breath and really frustrated because I thought we should be there by now, and the end of the slope is just ahead of us. I can see where it flattens out, and we get to there, and there'd be more slope beyond that. And so
are you talking about leaving Shadow going up to Garnet?
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. That when you make that right turn, where the intersection is to Ediza Lake, I think people need to know that wasn't an easy section. That climbed pretty good, and like I said, there were some fall summits on there.
Yes.
Yeah, you kind of said I was pretty upset. I was letting my buddy know. Dude, what is going on? We should be there already. And I don't like to look at my phone because I do have the GPS, but like I said, I'd rather not know. Yeah. But felt like I was someone was tricking us. But it was it was a slog.
Yeah, when I did it a second time with my son, I knew what to expect, and I was a lot less frustrated. So it was good in that respect.
That's funny that section you're talking about, because we ran into a PCTer named Balloons right at Thousand Island Lakes the next day, and I was saying, what's been the toughest for you so far? And he said he hated coming out of that area there, but also because of the storms. I guess he got caught in a thunderstorm, and you know, a lot of PCTers, they kind of they hike through the storms as well. But he was saying that was a rough area of the gain, and then also I guess he got caught in the storm that night. Yeah, or that afternoon.
Right. Now you had 4 or 5 days of rain,
5 days,
hail.
Yeah, the day before the last was July 1st. That was the worst one, going over Donahue. That was where we had camped the night before, was just right at the edge of the outlet of Thousand Island Lakes. And we started early that day too, because we already had heard, just everybody was saying that was gonna be a bad storm. Try to beat it. So we already knew we got an early start. My friend liked stopping a lot and taking pictures, and I'm like, hey, I kind of encouraging, hey, we got to get going. Hey, if you need to take a break, but also eat. He was stopping. I'm not gonna lie to you, it seemed like every couple hundred feet, and hey, you take some water, and then he stop again, then he eat. So it was like, it wasn't productive, but it wasn't as efficient as I would say. So that held us back. But we got going up that climb, going north to Donahue, I saw the clouds building, and then you definitely you hear them. So I knew it was gonna be bad, and I knew we weren't gonna make it, but something just tells you, just try to get over to the other side. And it's kind of dumb, because we weren't, when it came to our time frame, we were doing good. We weren't going to be late for anything. I think my buddy had a commitment somewhere, but I was saying, hey, you know, we can probably camp here or try to go down a couple hundred feet to some tree line. And because we're at that point, we're maybe not even 1,000 feet from Donahue, but there's no trees. But we kept going.
And how was it up at the pass in those conditions?
Getting up to the pass was a story. There was like only 5 of us, myself, my good friend Marcos, and 3 PCTers, an older lady and a young couple. And it was funny because we were all motivating each other. The PCTers seemed really, really relaxed. We were a little scared because it's thunder, and then we have these carbon poles that I like using when I climb, but I had to put them away. So I definitely had to put those carbon poles away, trekking poles, and so that made it a little rougher, but they were motivating us to get up there. And we're all trying to motivate each other, but we got to the top, a little bit of sprinkles, but couldn't really enjoy it. I think we were at the top for only about, honestly, 30 seconds. And hey, let's start going down, my buddy didn't have a rain jacket, so he put on his down jacket, hooded down jacket. And I just I have a rain shell, which isn't a rain jacket. It's just a wind shell. So it's just more of a light rain that it would work on at best. But as soon as we started coming over the pass, a couple hundred feet down, as we approached the first outlet, the lake there, Donahue, it wasn't even the rain started coming out. It just started hailing. So it wasn't even like it was like a curtain of hail. And it just started coming down, and within about not even 30 seconds, my jacket had wetted through already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the temperature dropped, and we crossed it running, which was interesting because most people would cross these little outlets on the rocks, taking their time. I did not. I said, if I fall, I fall. You know, I'm 6'5", and my buddy's 6'4", so we were just like giraffes jumping through the water, running to the side. We saw a cliff base that was trying to give some protection, the wind, everything. Not really a lot of rain. It was mostly just quarter-size hail. Wow. Wind and lightning the lightning was very scary. The lightning, I'd never been in a lightning storm like that. And you always hear about those lightning storms in the Sierras, but we're in a quarry where there's just granite all around us. And that just made it even more. I could feel the hair on the back of my neck was up, and it wasn't good. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And we're just getting drenched. And I just looked for the first cliff, try to lean up against. And my buddy was a couple 30, 40 feet in front of me. He tried to, those PCTers that we were talking to, the couple, they had one of those sun umbrellas. And they're trying to use that as cover. And it wasn't working out for them. So they're all huddled up there. And so I was sitting there thinking, oh, this will pass. It's okay. It'll pass. And this went on for about I think a little over 10 minutes later, it was still going, and the thunder was still there. And I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel a little cold. And I got out of there and I ran up to my buddy, which he uses Rainfly as a cover now. I see him under there, and I said, hey, meet me at that tree. We got to decide what we got to do here. I mean, we can't stay here. We gotta figure this out. So he comes up running and say, hey, what do you want to do? Should we just there's nowhere to set up a tent. There's no tree line. It's just granite everywhere, and thunder's nothing to stop. It's still the same. So I told him, hey, if we stay here and not move, we're just gonna get cold. And so we gotta keep moving. We gotta move and move fast. And by this time, the trail was probably about 4 or 5 inches thick of ice, of just, and pretty much little streams, rivers going through the trail now. And I was like, we need to go now. And we just started running down the trail. Yeah. From about 11,040 feet, whatever it was, all the way down to the first crossing right before tree line. So what we estimated was about a mile, a little bit over a mile 0.2, ran down the mountain, just passing up PCTers as a couple of them are just screaming, oh my God. And we just running full speed. I said, if I turn an ankle, I don't care. I'm going. It was bad. And my buddy's praying. I'm just saying, oh, I got to pay tuition. I got to make it back. That was my motivating factor. So it was crazy. Yeah. And it's funny because you do some self-reflecting, like, wow, I think I saw this on I Shouldn't Be Alive, those TV shows. Like, now I'm actually in it. And but I kept telling myself, hey, just keep moving, you'll be fine.
Right. Wow. So that all took place pretty high up on Donahue, and you ran down the other side.
When you're coming down Donahue, that first stream crossing you get to, there's where it came down on us. So we probably had only dropped maybe 150 feet. It's a first little outlet, and then there's 2 outlets, I think, but it's a first one coming down Donahue if you're going northbound. Mm-hmm. And there's no trees anywhere. My buddy's like, let's set up our tents. I mean, for one thing, we had no tree line, and we set up out there. All our stuff's going to get wet as we start pulling out of our backpack. So I said, we need to find tree line. So keep going till there's tree line. And we did. And, but that's just where the fun started. By that time we got to somewhere there was tree line. We're shivering and we were wetted out. We were completely soaked. Temperature wasn't really, super cold. I think when he looked at his watch, I think it said 38 degrees. But we were soaked. And we started shivering already. So we knew we had to do, we had to take our clothes off. So we were pretty much setting up our tents naked, both of us, with, and under a tree, which is good. So we had some tree line. And also here's where my foam pad came into play. So we put some dry stuff on the bottom there, and I put my foam pad above it. So whatever sprinkles and hail was coming down, so it was acting as a protection as well. So that foam pad worked out great. Even just we weren't stepping on snow. We were stepping on hail. We were stepping on the foam pad. So our feet weren't taking a beating either. So we threw all our dry stuff in the tent. I made sure my buddy got in the tent first and got clothes on first before I went in. So that was a must. He's all, get in here. I'm like, no, get your clothes on first and then I'll go in. Yeah.
Things you probably didn't think were going to happen when you were planning the trip is the two of you setting up a tent naked in a hailstorm.
Oh yeah. It was funny I'm looking back, there's some PCTers behind, like we're only like 20 feet off the trail. Yeah, but they didn't even notice us. They're focused. We could hear them yelling and cussing and screaming because it was not letting up. And they're just trying to, and they're, as you know, PCTers they're not wearing anything. They're lightly dressed, ponchos at best that they had. Yeah. So, but it was funny. They didn't even look at us at all.
Crazy. Now, did you guys exit at Tuolumne?
We exited at Tuolumne, and that might have been the first dry night. We've done, we didn't exit Happy Isles because we've done that section before. Mm-hmm. The year before last, I was trying to do that section and maybe get to Red's Meadow the year before last, but because of, I started it, but I wasn't aware that the Tuolumne Meadows store was closed for the season because of COVID. So I found this out on the trail as I got there. So that kind of eliminated that. So I got to Tuolumne Meadows the year before last, and how to exit out Tuolumne. But I did that section from Happy Isles to Tuolumne.
Okay, so now you need to do Reds down to Mount Whitney.
Reds down to Mount Whitney. So that's what I'm thinking next year. I'll try to knock that section out and exit at Reds, which should be a good exit, I think. There's a lot of good stuff to do in Mammoth.
Okay, so I'm going to shorten my usual top 5 list to a top 3 list because you've only done a portion of the JMT. What are your top 3 moments on the JMT so far, Pepe?
Top 3 moments. I can look back and say that was a horrible experience with what happened on that July 1st on that storm, but that was an amazing experience.
See, that's type 2 fun right there.
That's type 2 fun, enjoying the suck, as people say. I took a day or two after, but yeah, definitely enjoyed that. That's my best life experience, I can tell you that.
Okay.
Another thing was being, I forget his name, but I don't know if I sent you that video, but of the very next day leaving our campsite, ran into a JMT going northbound. And he was telling us about his getting struck by lightning experience. So on the same day, he was camped about maybe, I think, half a mile down from us. He was coming from Tuolumne, and he was telling us how a lightning struck a tree 50 feet away from him. And he lost feeling in his limbs and didn't know where he was at for about an hour.
That is scary stuff.
Yeah, so that's another story. And I think that experience on the Ray Lakes Loop, that I think that 20-mile section from Woods Creek to Vendette Meadow, that section of the JMT was, as you say, that is a beautiful area. That is one of the most beautiful areas I've ever seen. That we camped across from Fin Dome. I don't know if you know Fin Dome, and
absolutely.
We camped across from Fin Dome, and it was hard because there was a lot of people there. But that's only the bad thing. But it was beautiful. It was a beautiful that Fin Dome area. I think that's a second lake on the Ray Lakes. I think there was Dollar, then it's another lake. I forgot the name of that one. Then
Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Dollar, Arrowhead, and then you get to the first Ray Lake.
Yeah. So I'm thinking number 1 would be that what just happened in July to me, and talking to that JMT guy. I forgot his name, but just him. We pretty much interviewed him. It was amazing, his story, and then that section of the Ray Lakes. It's only 20 miles, but that is a beautiful area. Beautiful area.
Agreed. I am particularly fond of Arrowhead Lake. I think it is just absolutely gorgeous. I know it kind of gets overshadowed in conversations when people talk about the Ray Lakes. I don't hear a lot mentioned about Arrowhead Lake, but that is a really beautiful lake.
Yeah, all those lakes, but Arrowhead Lake, and but what's good about even Arrowhead, I mean, you get a good view of Fin Dome, I think, through all those 3 lakes. Even Dollar Lake, which is the furthest north of there, you can still catch a glimpse of Fin Dome, but just how, I think it was just a sunset. We got one of those nice purple sunsets, and so that's what made it beautiful there, man. It's an amazing area.
Yeah, you can't beat those sunsets. You can't beat the view of the stars and the Milky Way out there when you don't have hail raining on you. So
yeah, I think that's why I enjoyed it more, because the nights were beautiful.
Yeah. All right, those are good. Those are 3 good moments. Thank you for sharing those. Anything else from the Sierras, or should we move on to Utah?
Yeah, we can go to Utah.
Okay. So tell us about your experiences in Utah.
Utah, as I told you before, I don't have all the time in the world. So I plan really well on taking time off, and see what trails we can knock out in a limited amount of time. So, we've done, a lot of people do the Narrows in Zion, but we did the one that most people don't do, which is the part of the Narrows where you start at the top. You get dropped off on a shuttle bus. I think it's called the Chamberlain Ranch Trailhead. Zion Adventure Company will take you out there. It's a good hour and a half drive. So you're actually hiking down 18, 19 miles from the top of this private ranch to the backside of it, which is beautiful because you're coming out in cow pastures into the slot canyons. So it's an amazing experience. But we did that from top to bottom, which was amazing. There's not a lot of people do it. Maybe now they do, because I was at least maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. And I didn't know this, but there are campsites along the way in which are just butted up against the river there, the Virgin River. But it's almost like the same regulations Mount Whitney has. If you're in the Whitney zone, you have to take those
wag bags.
Yes. So you have to take those wag bags. So that kind of like, nobody really wanted to do that. We're like, oh, we'll knock it out in 4 or 5 hours. No, that was a 10, 11 hour day. Yeah.
Wow.
But
nice.
yeah, Narrows top to bottom is amazing. But if I were to do it again, I would definitely try to reserve it. I think there's only 8 campsites, but they are beautiful campsites.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a recommendation for when you do the full JMT, because we're talking about spectacular campsites or nice campsites. I've camped here twice and thought it was just absolutely spectacular. It's a campsite at 13,400 feet, just below the Whitney Trail sign. So when you go up from Guitar Lake, you have to bring all your water with you because there's no water up there. So you got to carry for a dry camp up there. But you go up the switchbacks and you head towards the sign. And before you get to the sign where it says 1.9 miles to Mount Whitney, just below that sign is a campsites for about maybe 8 or 12 tents. There's some flat areas, some stone walls built up a little bit. And, I've had people tell me on Facebook, oh, you're not supposed to camp there. But I've had rangers tell me, that's perfectly fine to camp up there. So the night sky and the view of Hitchcock Lakes and Mount Hitchcock and Guitar Lake, just completely epic. So there's a campsite
that's like
consider.
That's like the first switchback below the Trail Crest sign, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, I think I've seen people post pictures of that. The sunsets those are epic sunsets right there.
Yeah. And the 2 times I've camped there, we've done sunset summits of Mount Whitney. Not as the sun was going down completely, because you have to go back the 1.9 miles to your tents. But being up there late in the afternoon, there is nobody else up there. And views forever, man. It is just gorgeous.
Some people say with the sunsets and the color of the sky, those might be better than sunrises.
Yeah, not as cold either.
Yeah, there you go. You don't have to get up at 1:30 in the morning or 2:30 and go up.
That's right. Hey, also in Zion, did you do Angels? Is it Angels Landing?
Did Angels Landing as a day hike, but I didn't feel that it was. How can you say? Like I've done Half Dome. I think Half Dome was a little more. I don't know. I felt Half Dome was a little scarier. I think, but
Half Dome is treacherous, man. That was talk about. Is it better to know or not to know? Chopper and his son did Half Dome the summer before, and so we had gotten a permit through a buddy, and I asked Chopper. I said, "So what do I need to know?" He goes, "Oh, you should bring some gloves for the cables." I said, "Okay." So we brought gloves, but he didn't say anything else. And I don't know. I didn't do a whole lot of reading on it or anything. I knew that there were cables and it was supposed to be like a 45 degree angle ascent up those cables. It is not 45 degrees. There are sections of those cables where it feels like it's 70 degrees. Yeah. It was just absolutely crazy.
And it's not all legs, as you know. It's I think it's more upper body than anything else. Legs are just your anchors, and I think it's majority upper body strength.
Yeah, and I don't know about when you did it, but we had people going up, people going down at the same time. There's nobody.
Were you in the lottery?
What's that?
Were you go to the lottery? Were you in the lottery when you did it?
No, it was my buddy. His trail name was Buddy. He had a permit, and so he and I and Jukebox went and did it in a day hike. 8 miles out and 8 miles back. Yeah. But when we got to the subdome, there was a ranger checking permits, but he didn't offer any advice. He's okay. He checked his permit and said, "Go ahead." And you get there, and there are people going up, people coming down. It seemed like just a lot of chaos, and all it takes is one bad bump from somebody, and you're done.
Yeah, and you hear it every year. Something happens up there. Every year it happens, and I'll never forget that one year. I think it seemed like, I don't know if it was 2012 or 14, where it seemed like I think 8 people lost their lives up there. But that's before the permit system, when people were walking on the outside of the cables. There's people hanging on the outside, on the inside, on both sides. So I think that's when that was going on. That's the reason they kind of started the permitting system there.
Craziness.
Yeah.
Any other national parks in Utah or other spots in Utah?
I'll tell you this hike that we did. It's called the West Rim Trail. I think it's a 20-mile trail in Zion, but it's not really frequented a lot. It's part of the Zion Traverse, I think, which takes you from the Cedar City area all the way, finishes at oh my God, what is that? I think it's Highway 2, the road that takes you to Kanab, Utah. So I think that's a total of maybe 60 some miles, but we did the 20-mile section, which is from Lava Point to Angels Landing and down to the grotto. That's my first experience with heat exhaustion. Yeah, so I underestimated the clothes and the high altitude plateaus of Zion, and no trees, and of course not eating properly and hydrating properly the night before with the drive. But beautiful area.
And have you heard of the Hayduke Trail?
I have heard of the Hayduke Trail, but I don't think I would ever do that one.
That's kind of crazy too, right?
I don't think most people talk about it as, I don't know if they're happy they did it or they're just happy they survived it.
I think the latter. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you happen to listen to the episode with Ginger Balls and Type 4 Fun?
I didn't, but I need to catch. I think I caught a couple minutes of it, but I did watch on Amazon Prime. I think there is a documentary on the Hayduke Trail. Some guys did it like maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, figuring it out on the Hayduke Trail, I think it's called.
Yeah, and it just looked not, I don't know.
Yeah, so I had Ginger Balls is a triple crowner. He's done all 3 long trails in the U.S., and he was a guest during season 1 of the podcast. He came back last season 2, and talked about his experience on the Hayduke Trail. And he was just fresh off the Hayduke Trail. I was talking to him maybe a week after he'd gotten off the trail. And it is a trail that goes through all 5 national parks in Utah and ends up down by the Grand Canyon in Arizona. And there is not a well-marked, well-defined, signposts everywhere. Hey, this is the Hayduke Trail. In fact, I don't think there's a single signpost saying that you're on the Hayduke Trail. The only time you're on the path is when you're in the national parks. But there's a lot of wayfinding and canyoneering. Yeah, canyoneering. Yeah. You have to go down into canyons and come back up out of canyons. And he had a couple of moments that he described that are just unreal. So you're right. I think people are, when they talk about the Hayduke, having done the Hayduke, I think they're excited that they survived.
I don't think you'll find a novice on that trail. You're gonna find a triple crowner or somebody that's knows. If you find a first time through hiker on there, it's wow. I don't know.
Yeah, madness. All right. Hey, what's next for Pepe? What do you have planned for the future?
So definitely, maybe try to knock something out before the end of the year. It also depends on how fast our winter comes this year. If it's gonna be a slow winter again, where we're not getting any precipitation, I'm definitely thinking of maybe knocking something on the Sierras, if not an early October High Sierra Trail, so I can lessen what I need to do next year for the JMT. Thinking of that, that's definitely on my radar. And something in March of next year, it's either going to be Peru or something in Patagonia. If it's in Patagonia, it's going to be the O circuit. And in
Nice.
Peru, we're looking at of course, to Machu Picchu, but an alternative route, which there's 2, I think, that I'm looking at, which is the Salcante trek, and then there's another one called the Lares trek, which both lead you in the end to Machu Picchu. But it's not like the more populated trails that they have in Machu Picchu, so it's less traveled.
Right. Now, I was talking to the Bruff family who Jennifer and Brandon Bruff did the Inca Trail in Peru.
Yeah.
And it was totally portered. They had Sherpas who, the way they described it, they carried, the Bruffs carried nothing. And the Sherpas would load these 50, 60, 70, 80-pound packs and would run up ahead of them for miles and set up these huge tents for that, they could break for lunch and have a hot lunch. And then they would pack it all up and get on the trail again and run to where they were going to camp for the evening. But quite the different experience from the traditional through hike with, you carrying everything on your back.
I think you can still do it. They offer where you can still get a guide and you can still take your gear. But then also too, they really push, talking to some of those guys out there, emailing them, they'll do that for you. They'll just give you a guide. You can take all your gear, but they really push, I guess, providing jobs for the locals, indigenous people there, which that does with the porters and the Sherpas and all that, which helps out the indigenous communities there. Where I can see myself, I would feel pretty bad having someone carry all my gear. I would not feel great about that. But then also too, when they tell you where the money goes, a lot of the money is going back to the trail. It's going back to taking care of the communities and the schools in the area there. So the more you give back to, I guess, those services, it's going back to their communities. So if you can go out, I've seen guys who will go out there with no guides and just do it by themselves and take their own 4-season tents. I've seen videos like that.
Yeah, but if you use the porters and the Sherpas, I mean, you could feel good about giving to the community, and you can feel good because you're not carrying all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what you have to look at.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win, and it's like I might still carry my certain things, but I'll definitely have them set up a tent for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds very exciting. I hope you have a fantastic experience either in Peru or in Patagonia. You have to come back and tell us about it.
I definitely will.
Okay.
For sure.
Hey, Pepe, you know where we are?
Is this a gear segment?
Not the gear segment, but this is the pro tip insight of the week. This is where you get to share with our listeners some little tip or secret that's going to make their next outdoor adventure even better. What do you have for us?
It was a pretty easy one for me, hearing you talk about it with other guests, but it's don't do it by yourself. Bring someone with you, enjoy it together. It makes it that much better. Because the guy I brought with me, looking back, if I would have done this by myself, I would have made it through, but I'm so glad I had someone to enjoy it with, and someone that's my best friend. And I think that's what my gear tip would be, is pro tip of the day would be just incorporate somebody in your adventure. I think it'd be more memorable.
That's right. You get to talk about it with somebody. You get to reminisce.
Oh yeah.
I know when I come back and I try and show videos or pictures, my friends and family are like, yeah, that's nice. That's nice. I'm like, no, it's not nice. It's fantastic.
Yeah, can you imagine if I had this story that I just told you and people would be, and I went by myself, no one would believe me.
No, that's right. You have a witness.
I have a witness. I definitely have a witness. He was there, and I'm glad he came along.
Fantastic. So there you have it. That's it. This episode is just about in the books. Hope our listeners enjoyed our time with Pepe. I want to thank him for joining us this week. Pepe, how can our listeners keep up with you on social media, and where can they find updates on your latest adventures?
Pretty much my IG. So where is Chepe? That's my handle, and you could find
wait a second. Chepe. I thought it was Pepe.
It is Pepe, but someone took Pepe, so I had to use Chepe. Chepe is another surname, believe it or not, of Pepe. So
okay.
So I've Chepe, Pepe, same. Jose's use them all the time.
So you got to be flexible.
Got to be flexible. So where is Chepe? That's my handle, and I'll post stuff on there.
Okay. Remember to check out the pod on social media as well. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you have comments or clips you want to share, you can send it to me at johnfreakinmuir@gmail.com. Pepe, I'm also looking to you to share a recommendation for a book, a movie, a documentary, some kind of adventure media to keep our listeners connected to outside adventures. What do you have for us?
The Last Season.
Yes. Did you listen to that episode?
I listened to that episode.
Yeah, Eric Blum, the author of The Last Season, he was fantastic to talk to, and that is a great, great story.
There's a funny story about that. Costco, one of our pharmacists that's now retired, was a trail maintenance worker during that time of when that was going on, and he was in a backpacking, and he told me about this story like 8-9 years ago, the Bench Lake area of the JMT, and I was like, what? And that's when those documentaries and shows are coming out about it. So he told me about it before all this started. And I was like, wow, it was amazing. He knew the guy, but he was just telling me about the story. Yeah.
For our listeners out there who may not have listened to that episode or may not be familiar, Last Season is the story of Randy Morganson, who was a backcountry ranger for almost 30 years, assisted on many search and rescues. And then he himself went missing one summer. And so it's a story of It's a story. It's his story, kind of a lot of background about him growing up and how he became a ranger and his experience as a ranger, but also the story of when he disappeared and what eventually happened. And we won't give it away. You'll have to either tune in. Well, even if you listen to the episode, the author doesn't give it away. So you have to buy the book, The Last Season, give it a read. It is a really, really well-written book. A lot of fun. All right. And before we wrap things up, I've got one more segment for you called What Have I Not Asked You That You're Dying to Tell Me About? I don't want to leave anything on the table here.
I hear you guys talking about shoes all the time, footwear. So this is the first time I wore Hokas. Okay. And I think that's a great shoe. I'm an ultra guy, so I have wide feet. And but I have these Timps I've been breaking in months prior to this last backpacking trip, and they just weren't doing it for me. And I had these Hokas that I bought on the REI used website because it was a great deal. They had them in my size. I think I got them for $40, and I never really wore them. And I put them on the day prior to my hike. It felt great. No blisters, nothing.
It is a game changer.
Feet were not even sore.
Yes.
My feet were not. I was expecting to have a really rough time, especially the shoes were broken in because they were used, and I wore them a couple of times, maybe twice, but not really broken in for my size of foot. And amazing shoe. I didn't feel no roots. Nothing jabbing into my feet. So light and dried out quick overnight, even in the rain.
Yep. There's a raging debate out there about, boots or trail runners, and fine, let that debate rage on. But I will just say that, I made the change from boots where I was tending to my feet after 3 days and popping blisters and wrapping them up and, thinking about every single footfall for the next, 6-7 days. And then I switched to trail runners and didn't think about my feet once, didn't have a single problem. And it has been just a world of difference. It's amazing on what you can focus on when you don't have to worry about your feet hurting with every step.
Oh, yeah. And I totally forgot about my feet because I was nervous because a shoe I haven't really broken in, and amazing shoe. Yeah, it was a great shoe. My feet weren't sore because my ultras, I could get through them, but my feet were a little sore at times. No blisters, but they'd be sore. But I was not even sore with these shoes. Great shoe.
Okay, that's a wrap from the John Freaking Muir studio. Any shout outs to friends and family, Pepe?
It's my daughter Nadia. Just moved her into her dorm at Cal State Monterey Bay. Yeah, so hopefully we don't get shut down. Hopefully she enjoys the school this year. So, and my buddy Marcos, he's my trail partner. He's the one that enjoyed this experience with me and this last hike, and wouldn't have done it with anybody else. He's the guy I could count on.
Okay. Does he have a trail name? Is he Naked Sasquatch or?
We call him Trail Leg as a nickname. That might be his because he ran hurdles in high school, a really good hurdler. So we call him Trail Leg. So that's what we go by. And that's his handle on Instagram as well.
Okay, nice. I'll have to follow him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in. Always remember, the trail is the trail. Doesn't care if you want to go downhill. Doesn't care if it's almost dark and you're looking for a campsite. It doesn't even care if you have to strip naked in a hailstorm and set up your tent. The trail is the trail. Embrace the suck.
Sir.